Happy Mindfulness Monday, everyone. Let me know in the chat if this is the first time that you're joining us for Mindfulness Mondays. Please know that everyone will be muted for the duration of our session today. It just helps weed out some of the distractions when we practice this tool called mindfulness. Feel free to communicate with myself and Dr. Taylor Rush and my colleague Brianna behind the scenes through that chat function. And I do invite you to join us on camera if you're in a place and feel comfortable with it to join us on camera. We do love to see each other across the United States and overseas. Our next live English session will be on March 2nd with Nico Hazy. And I can't recall what we're focusing on in that session, but it's already published on our website, so check it out. Okay, so don't forget about our other programs that we have at the Parkinson's Foundation through our PD Health at Home series. That includes our Wellness Wednesdays, our Fitness Fridays, Care Partner programs, expert briefings, which will begin again next month in March, and our Spanish language series, EP Salud en Casa. You can learn more about what's coming up and explore our recorded and archived webinars at parkinson.org/PD Health. PD Health at Home is presented by the Light of Day Foundation, whose generosity has made this programming possible. Thank you, Light of Day. And today we welcome back Dr. Taylor Rush from the Cleveland Clinic. Taylor, thank you so much for guiding us into mindfulness.
Thank you, Krista. It's wonderful to see everyone today. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to spend some time with you guys today discussing a topic that kind of piggybacks off of the topic that I mentioned last month, which was how do we settle our startle response? And today I wanted to talk a little bit more about managing moments of overwhelm. And overwhelm to me has a distinct feeling to it that isn't just stress. It's not just, being worried or anxious about something. Overwhelm is how I will sometimes describe it. It's like, when there are too many windows open on your computer and it freezes because there's so much going on at one time. The brain has trouble processing everything. And this is a topic that often comes up when I'm working with my people who have Parkinson's. And, something that I've certainly observed through my years of practice is that many of you are incredibly good at pushing through. And you've had to be really good at pushing through. You've learned how to try to function even when you're tired, you're uncomfortable physically, you're feeling stretched emotionally, if you've gotten really very poor sleep, you still get yourself to appointments and get through errands or family obligations, even on days when perhaps your body is quietly asking for a little bit of a break. And I think we live in a society where that ability is highly valued and reinforced. And I don't want to minimize the fact that that ability is a strength and it helps us to get through, almost in a survival combat mode kind of way. And sometimes the cost of being strong is that we stop listening to our bodies and we don't really pay attention to what it has to say until it becomes completely overwhelmed. And we know the body doesn't usually go from, hey, I'm okay, to I'm completely wiped out immediately or overnight. It tends to give us some warning shots. It gives us some early signals. And for some of you, that could be tremor begins to become more noticeable in certain demanding situations, or your thinking might get slower a little bit later in the day after having a long day. Balance can become a little less steady, especially after you've exerted yourself a lot. And so that's, some physical signs, but also emotionally, you might notice that you feel a little more prickly, you're a little more irritable, feeling a little bit more done with people, feeling like you need to withdraw a bit more quickly than you normally would from social interaction, or sometimes feeling just a well of emotion or sometimes tearfulness, and you don't really know why or where it's coming from. And so these early messages is the body maybe trying to tell you this is a lot. What I'm trying to do is heavy. And when those early signs don't get some space and some regard, the body can often then escalate the signals. And so sometimes I'll see that translated, and people will have more intense off periods. They might have more freezing. They have poorer sleep and feeling tired wired. If you've ever heard that term before, where they feel physically exhausted, but their brain won't stop. And so some days it just may feel like you are trying to walk through quicksand uphill both ways. And what I'll sometimes hear from people is they're like, it just hit me out of nowhere. I don't know why this happened. And as we kind of dig into it a little bit and we talk about maybe things that have been going on or the ways that they've been trying to function, we recognize that perhaps that is not always the case and that the body may have whispered some things before it started yelling some things. And that's something that I will often tell my patients of all kinds, my folks with Parkinson's as well as other neurologic disorders, is that, hey, let's listen to when the body whispers, not just when it's yelling, because sometimes those whispers can be incredibly important. And so today's practice is really focused on how do we learn how to listen to those whispers mindfully. So remember, mindfulness being in this moment, paying attention to what's going on in and around you without judgment. Okay, so how can we mindfully listen to what the body might be whispering? So it's not about doing less or giving up. And I think a lot of times when people hear me talk about this, that's what they're expecting is that it is limiting, but it's really about living more sustainably in a way where you can honor your body's needs and perhaps actually have more energy to do the things that you want because it doesn't get burned out into this overwhelm. And so remember with mindfulness, there are some mindfulness practices that we do that are really calming and they help us to settle and sometimes helps us to feel more productive or more energetic. But today, what I really wanted to focus on is about listening, listening to what your body is saying with curiosity, with compassion, so that you can respond to what it's telling you with some care instead of reactivity or a sense of urgent crisis. Okay. So we're gonna play with this, and whenever we do body-based meditations, I always tell people go as far as what feels comfortable for you. Everyone has a different comfort level with this. And if at any point it becomes too overwhelming or you feel like it's too uncomfortable, obviously we want to reduce the overwhelm. So listen to what your body is telling you, what your brain is telling you, and take a step back and maybe just do a little bit of deep breathing. Okay. So before we officially begin, I want you to kind of check in with yourself. Okay. Without judging or trying to change anything, I just want you to notice how is your energy right now? Here in Cleveland, it's 1 in the afternoon. So for those of you near my time of day, it might be after lunch, might be feeling, that early afternoon slope. So you might feel tired, you might feel overloaded from a busy morning, you might feel restless because you're sitting still listening to me. Um, what do you notice? How are you feeling? And what do you feel in your body? Where do you feel some of those things that you're noticing about yourself? Are you noticing that your body's just feeling heavy? Do you notice that there's tension? And so again, we're not trying to change anything or saying, "Oh, well, I'm feeling tension in my shoulder, so that's bad." No, it just is. So paying attention and just being able to sit with your body and maybe hear a few whispers. Okay. So go ahead and find a position that feels comfortable for you. Any position will do. You can be seated, lying down, anywhere you feel supported. Allow your body to be held by whatever furniture is supporting you. We're not trying to fix anything. We're just being in this space. You may notice contact that your feet make with the floor or any furniture beneath you. The way your hips and back are supported by any furniture under you. Maybe even silently say to yourself, I am supported right now. And sometimes that's a good reminder when life is feeling especially demanding. Support is something that we can feel in any given moment if we only just pay attention. You may even briefly anchor to the breath, noticing as it travels down your throat into your lungs, nourishes your body, and feeling the sensation of breath as you exhale. And I want you to envision that that breath, as you inhale, travels throughout your body, imagining it going down into the tips of your toes, your fingers, to the top of your head. Imagine it spreads throughout your body. And allow yourself to gently scan your body. Maybe quietly asking yourself, how much energy do I have right now? Labeling any sensations you might notice. Anything feels heavy, tight, restless, or maybe even areas that feel comfortable. You might be wearing some cozy socks and they feel really good. And so we meet each of these sensations with neutrality. So whether it's a sensation we would want or a sensation that might be a little bit challenging, and just saying, I notice heaviness here. I notice tension here. I notice tremor here. Could even be, I notice fatigue here. Perhaps even numbness. And just greeting each sensation with awareness, equanimity. It's nothing that needs to be changed. We're just listening. And as you explore some of these sensations, I want you to consider choosing one area of your body that feels like it's asking for some attention. Now, it does not have to be the part of your body that's yelling the loudest. Just want you to choose one that's noticeable. Sometimes, if we try to focus on the most intense sensation, it gets a little more overwhelming rather than less. So, pick a sensation that is noticeable just to bring some awareness there. Maybe noticing the quality of that sensation, using some of those descriptors like tense, heavy, could be also describing its temperature, like does it feel warm? Does it feel cool? Is this area moving or is it still? As you acknowledge and describe the sensation, saying to yourself, to that sensation, I hear you. Often being heard is what the body has been asking for. And if you notice that maybe any should thoughts start to creep in, I should loosen this muscle. I should take a deeper breath. Acknowledge it and just gently return to listening. Often we think burnout and overwhelm can come from doing too much at once, but it actually can be from being unheard over time. Now, imagine responding to this sensation with care, not fixing or not shoulding, or just acknowledging. Might even mean that you just say, it makes sense that I feel this way right now. Because oftentimes the body's telling us something for a reason. I don't need to fix this. It makes sense that I feel this way. And this can be an incredibly powerful practice before medical appointments, social gatherings, when you're noticing that perhaps you're a bit more prickly or shut down. Take a moment to listen, just as you are right now. Now consider expanding your awareness to the entirety of your body. Notice how your body feels now that it's been listened to. knowing that at any time you can say to yourself, I can check in with me. My body's signals matter. And maybe envisioning a situation where perhaps you would like to incorporate this practice, when it might serve you well, given your daily routine, your demands, your overwhelm. Over time, a practice like this can really help you to befriend your body a bit more. It does not have to be an adversarial relationship. You can work together. And when you're ready, maybe start to incorporate a little bit of gentle, intentional movement. Allow your body to become a little bit more aware of your space and surroundings. If your eyes have been closed for this practice, you can gently begin to open and orient. You can roll your shoulders, wiggle fingers or toes, stretch your torso, whatever helps you to come back to our Zoom space here. Again, gentle awareness. All right, I'm starting to see some eyes popping up here. And I think Brianna has reopened our chat. So, as always, I very much would like to hear how this practice was for you guys. The body ones can be interesting because sometimes it truly depends on the day or the hour in terms of how you're feeling. There's a lot of fluctuations, as you well know, in what the body might be telling you at any given moment. So just really depends on where we are in the day sometimes. So would love to hear people's reflections on this. What felt good? What might have been challenging? Any thoughts or revelations you may have had in the context of this practice? Because I always find it interesting because I really do try to practice what I preach. I really do try to incorporate these things. And as I have said before, and I will say over and over, I'm an imperfect practitioner of all this. And I will often find myself trying to check back in because I have a lot of neck shoulder tension. I tend to wear my shoulders as earrings a lot. There's a lot of this that I try to do and check in with myself throughout the day because it happens so sneakily. We don't necessarily even notice. And let's see here. We've got a few people. Feel like they always come in all at once. You guys are all typing at the same time. Um, Someone said listening to you feels like a mental massage. I will take that as a compliment. Thank you. Sometimes you just need to listen to someone else's voice and slow down for a minute. And just even that slowing of this process can be so helpful. Someone said, work great for my chronic neck pain. I work with a lot of individuals who have chronic myofascial pain and migraines. And for many of them, we do practices like these to try to help communicate to the body better and how to notice even when some of these moments of tension are happening. Someone said tremor reduced while in practice. Phil was real honest. I tend to fall asleep, which is understandable, again, depending on time of day and where your energy is. And I had a mindfulness instructor once who addressed this. And she said, if you are falling asleep during some of these meditations, it might be that your body is trying to tell you something. And it's that it needs something more than just meditation. So, I think in those moments, listen to your body and what it might be telling you. And so someone said, I often lose sight that I have some control over my body. I'm not a captive. I like that a lot because that's a huge part of what I do with people is, recognizing where do you have some control? Where do you have say in your life? Where do you have say in your body? And so often we have this what we call dichotomous thinking. It's all or nothing. Either it's all one way or it's all another way. Either I have control or I don't. And often the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And someone had mentioned that they had started with tremor in their left foot, but concentrated on the left foot. And by the end of the session, both feet were steady. And again, just that the ability to notice, the ability to listen, and it sometimes can help to slow down some of these feedback loops that can lead to these moments of overwhelm. Because when we try to stop things, it really doesn't work out too well. And somehow those things end up becoming stronger. And so if we just notice instead of trying to actively change something, it can sometimes make a bigger difference. Several people mentioned that they felt it helped with their tremor. And someone said that their brain is always too busy. I can relate. I understand. Again, I am an imperfect practitioner. And someone had asked if we can access this meditation offline. And I know that through the Parkinson's Foundation, they do have a YouTube channel where all of these sessions are posted. So certainly, I'm sure that will be available in the near future. So by all means, if you'd like to do this one again, it should be available at your leisure. All right. Well, I will turn it back to Krista with our 30 seconds remaining.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Always appreciate the invitation to slow down, to slow down and to tap into this wisdom that is lived in the body, beyond the mind. So, bowing the intelligence of the mind to the wisdom of the body. I appreciate that. Thank you, my friends, for coming. And if you're new here, I hope you come back. And for those of you who keep showing up, thanks for making my job so easy and so fun. We'll see you again on March 2nd, okay? Until then, be well.